We were like, we cannot afford a new build for a house.
I told Olivia one night, I said, I'm gonna drill a hole in the floor. And she said, no.
Finding land was an adventure in itself. We kind of figured out a little bit of a loophole.
Hi, I'm Kaden.
And I'm Olivia.
And this is our 12 by 30 foot, 360 square foot tiny house. Let's take a tour.
Welcome to our kitchen. We lived in my parents' basement for 2 years while we saved up for the tiny house and for the move to Nashville. And so we really knew we needed to have a lot of space in our kitchen. Honestly, I was so paranoid that if we had an L-shaped countertop, there would not be enough walking space. But I'm so grateful that Kaden was so for it, because if we would not have this L-shaped countertop, it just would be a totally different vibe in the whole house because it's such a centerpiece. That's the biggest thing that I'm super grateful for, as well as the full-size appliances, except the oven's a tiny bit small, but we still can fit a whole turkey in it. We really love the amount of storage that we have in our tiny home. And we knew that we wanted to have stairs, and that opened up a whole nother option of storage because we have cabinets under all of our stairs. And one of the other things that I kind of got a little OCD about whenever we were designing the house was symmetry in our cabinets. So we did create a little bit of like a false drawer situation, so it doesn't really open the way that you would think, but it makes it so we can use all of this space back in the depths of the cabinets in the counter space. So one thing that Kaden really loves is getting a good deal on groceries. And so we love going to wholesale stores and buying in bulk. And so just because we're living tiny doesn't mean you can't do that. Having, I guess it's almost a full-size fridge and freezer and the pantry area, we're able to go and still get all of those wonderful deals, but we still only go like once a week. It's not anything different than we did when we didn't live tiny. Also, lighting was super important to us. We didn't want to be cooking in a dim and dingy kitchen. And so we wanted to put a light above the sink, and we didn't know where to do that. And so our builder was awesome and thought to put it built into our little shelf here.
Welcome to our living room. It's not the biggest, but it's livable. When we were first designing it, it kind of came second to the kitchen. It was kind of like all we had left when we were designing the house. So we had to find a couch that was big enough for our living room. So it was this 4-foot couch. It folds out into a little sleeper. It reclines, does all its little things. And then the other big thing of designing it was this pop out, which originally we weren't going to have. Thankfully, now Tank has a spot to lay and sleep and be comfortable. And it also gave us access to our small loft upstairs as well. And another issue we were running into is because it was such a small space is where do we put the TV? So that gave us another option of actually putting it up in the small loft on the bottom of it so that it would just come down. As you might have noticed, we have a very big bay window. This was another big key into the designing process. So when we were looking for land, we knew this spot was available, and we wanted to be able to look out at all the field and everything and just wake up to it. So that was like a must of, had to have a big bay window. Another piece that Olivia really wanted to have was a kitchen table. So being that it's very small and we don't have a dining room, we made a small table that folds out that can either be a little workbench or it can be a kitchen table and bring it out here and have people actually sit at it.
So what inspired us to go tiny actually started back in 2016. We moved into a house that we didn't know had black mold, and it made me really sick. I ended up having this gene, it's called chronic inflammatory response syndrome, and only 24% of people have. Kaden was fine, I was not, and so I became really, really sick and just started this long journey. And so when we knew we wanted to move to Nashville, we were like, we cannot afford a new build for a house.
And she's a musician, singer-songwriter, so Nashville's always been a passion. So the only way to make it happen was tiny house. And I found a school in Nashville and it kind of was like, okay, this is kind of perfect. So I'll give it a try. Lo and behold, here we are. And this is our bathroom. So the height you can see is pretty short in here, but it's about 6'5". With that said, we had our bathroom be popped up a little bit, the shower, so that I could get in and actually feel like I'm in a normal shower. Along with that was we wanted to make sure that we had a fan in the bathroom just because of the humidity, it just gets so hot. She loves her hot showers. So had to put the fan over top of the shower. How you might see in a lot of tiny houses, there's the walk-in shower, just a small stand-up shower. Olivia wanted to be over the bath, so we built the bathroom around the tub. As you can see, the toilet's kind of crammed in there, but it was like, do we want the shower? Do we want the toilet to be spacious? Well, it was spacious enough for us to sit down on and be comfortable. And we got the shower full size with the tub, and that was a must. Here you can see we have the mirror. So this has a cabinet behind it. The vanity here, also storage underneath, the toilet paper, all that stuff. Also in the bathroom, we have storage for our towels and other odds and ends like shavers, razors, you know, you name it, soap, into the stairs that go up to the bedroom. So that was another thing of, it was actually our builder's idea of, well, we have the stairs, there's space there, but how do we get to them? So it's just a push, it pops open, and voila, storage.
So this space was originally going to be our bedroom, and then we're like, why are we wasting all of this standing space just to lay down for most of the time? So we decided to sleep up in the loft and make this into the everything room. So it was already going to be our laundry room as well. So we have the little stackable washer and dryer. We have our closet here, and it's also pretty much everything else that we need. It's an office, it's a studio, a little recording room, whatever we need. In this room, we also have a fresh air exchanger. So that way it's on both sides of the house and just sucking and pulling air in and out of the house. We also have 2 dehumidifiers, one in this room because it can get cut off from the rest of the house with 2 doors. And we also have another dehumidifier in the other like living room space next to the couch. This room also can be transformed as our lives transform, and something that we knew we were going to be in this house while we have a child at one point. And so we wanted to make sure that that was like actually feasible. So this room can also transform into another bedroom because it was already going to be a bedroom from the get-go.
So our tiny house cost us $110,000. We had to get ours shipped down because ours is 12 foot wide. It's an oversized load and you need permits to get it down. So with that, we knew we weren't gonna move very much. It was gonna basically be at one spot for a long time. So we hired the shipping company, just go through anyone that you can trust that has insurance. And that was around, I think, $4,000 going from Pennsylvania to Tennessee.
Finding land was an adventure in itself because a lot of the options to buy land, there was a lot of code restrictions. So we went through a whole journey of trying to buy land just to find out that we actually can't have a tiny home on the land. So we kind of figured out a little bit of a loophole. Like if we rent land that already has a permanent foundation, like we can just put our tiny house on it and rent the land from them. So that is what we ended up doing. To find that person who was willing to allow us to park on their land was a whole nother thing. But we ended up finding this awesome farmer on Hip Camp, and I had never heard of that before until Instagram ads. Finally, that algorithm was really helping us out.
With the land, we got very lucky with being able to not have to pay for utilities or anything. We have a full hookup here. So we have water, electric, sewer, and then we get help with the trash. And it's all included in our what we get for the land. Welcome to our loft/bedroom. As you can see, it's pretty spacious up here, and we wanted enough space to actually come up here and I could have my headroom. So we ended up getting one of these chairs. This was Olivia's old chair that she had, and we just cut it off and it perfectly rolls up here so you can kind of get around to it, because that's another thing of the lofts. It was like, you can't really make them tall enough that you can walk through, because then it just throws off everything with the dimensions of the tiny house. We didn't actually expect to have a bed up here. And when we were building the downstairs bedroom, We came up here and we're like, oh, this would be a perfect area for the bed, and it fits a queen size pretty perfectly on the ledge. Our shower had a pop-up and it kind of made it weird up here of this random ledge. So we decided to build storage around it and just put some walls up and then have a closet. Storage is really big, so we tried to get a little bit more storage if we could. So we put in these two little cabinets here just to have a little bit of odds and ends storage, such like random things that we don't use all the time, but it's still there when we need it. Back here, we put a desk because I'm a student, so I do a lot of studies. With the desk, I was tired of sitting with my legs crossed, so I told Olivia one night, I said, I'm gonna drill a hole in the floor. And she said, no. Then after some convincing, she was convinced, and we drilled a hole through the floor so that I could actually have my legs sit down. And I've realized that stadium chairs are perfect to sit there. So it gives you a little cushion and a backrest, and then you can have your feet dangle down there while you're typing away.
Welcome to our small loft. This is really predominantly my spot because Kaden can't fit up here in most of this area. So this basically is my little inspiration loft. I come up here every morning, do my devotionals, have time with God. I write songs, whatever happens in the morning when I end up coming up here. But it's just such a nice, peaceful space that I can look over the field, and it's just been a really wonderful treasure that I'm so glad that we put in this house.
So this is our porch. This was not first here when we built the house. Olivia's parents actually came down for a weekend, and we built this all in a weekend. And it's honestly just been a blessing to us to have an extra space. It's almost like having another little tiny house outside of your tiny house. One other thing, since we have our dog, he loves to go in and out, play in the yard. So we put in this door with a doggy door, and it's been wonderful. I think the biggest piece of advice I would give somebody if they're thinking about it is there's always a reason you shouldn't do it, or somebody's gonna say you shouldn't do it. But once you actually pull the plug and just do it, I think you're gonna be a lot happier with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's so true. We had a lot of people that were telling us not to and saying that we were absolutely nuts.
Wasn't a smart idea.
Yeah, and we were like, I think we are nuts, but we really feel called to do this, so let's go. And honestly, one of the things that as we started like posting more and sharing what we did, it inspires a lot of people to follow what's on their heart too. So whenever you go out in faith and you do it, a lot of those people who are telling you not to do it will end up maybe not go tiny, but it'll inspire them to follow their heart and do what they're called to do. So you never know, how you going out in faith could really help somebody also step out in faith. If you want to keep up with our journey and my music journey, feel free to check out my website, oliviafaribault.com, and all of my social media links will be in the description. Thanks for watching.
Bye, guys.